wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk about Insight Maker version 5, which was released on June 5th of 2014. The primary emphasis of this new release was to rework the user interface to make it much more compatible with a touch screen device. Previously, the individual controls that you were supposed to select on the screen were so small that using your finger to do them often resulted in selection of the wrong one, so that you'll immediately see that the toolbar has changed so that the buttons are larger, while most of the buttons are now actually drop downs as opposed to buttons, and the selection segments are bigger, so that you end up more likely to get the one that you're looking for. So everything that was here is still here. There are a couple of new additions that I'll talk about, though primarily it was simply a rework of the interface so that it just made it easier to use, more conducive to a touchscreen environment. The one thing that seems to have hung people up a bit is this right here. It says use flows. If you click on it, it says use links. People keep sending emails saying, where's the links? Where's the links? So that if you select use links, notice that you get the arrow when you mouse over a variable or when you mouse over a stock. But if it says use flows, you don't get an arrow unless you actually mouse over a stock, because the flows only make sense with regard to stocks. And when you draw one, the way that you reverse them now is this little arrow right here to say that it's a flow into the stock as a flow out of the stock. All of the selection of primitives that you want to use, you can select from this drop down. They are also on a right click, the way that they used to be. Though the one addition is that when you have a variable or a primitive on the model selected, your edit menu is over here and your style menu is over here. Scott has also put the style menu on the right click for a primitive that you've created so that you can get to all of the style commands without having to go. Some people commented that it was now took longer to do things because you had to go and click on this and then select the thing that you wanted. If you use the right click feature on variables, everything is right at your fingertips as opposed to having to go anywhere. So you don't have to select the variable and then go select the command. You just do a right click on it and select the command that you're looking for. A couple of well, all right, and the equation dialog has been changed for the same reason, so that rather than all of the function segments that ran across the bottom, they're now on a scroll bar on the side, and you can click to open them, and they all have help information associated with them in terms of what the format of the function is, and the references to other elements show up here in the, let's see, where is it? Oh. Oh, okay. So the variables that you can use in the formulas show up under references here on the right on the first one, and that also closes. There's a what is it? There's a couple of new functions in that under Insight equations, under the full, here is the full specification for your model. You can click this and you can download this definition in a text file onto your computer. You can now also load that. On import, it will allow you to import the file itself that you have exported. Note that if you do an import, it will completely replace whatever the file is or whatever the definition you already have on the screen. It's not importing into what's already there. It's importing it in. It's making that model whatever it is that you import. There's also The print function is now here. Find, replace, and find next were always functions that were available, though they were only available for command keys such as Control F and Control G. What else is new? See. There's also a xMile import, which is experimental. xMile is a import-export definition for transferring models from one simulation environment to another, and to the extent that the standard has been defined, Scott has implemented it so you can import xMile files. So at the moment, I think and Stella are exporting xMile files, are saving their models as xMile files so that you should be able to import them into Insight Maker to the extent that there is equivalent functions in the two environments. In other words, there are things that you can do in I think in Stella for which there is no equivalent in Insight Maker, and the alternative is also true, so that there's it transferred to an extent, though not completely. So that's pretty much what's here in terms of, one other thing is there's an export SVG diagram, so that whatever your diagram is, you can right click and you can export it as a scalable graphic file. Note that the SVG standard is a very complex standard, and everything doesn't read as SVG files. When I initially tried to use this, I thought there was a bug in it because I exported the diagram and the default for my computer was to load it with IE, and IE wasn't compatible, didn't understand the format, so that what loaded didn't look correct. As soon as I told my computer to open SVG files with Google Chrome, that they looked fine. So it's a way to actually export your diagrams if you want to use them in something else. As of today, which is Saturday, June 14th, there are 2 known bugs that are still being resolved, and there are things that Scott believes are part of XJS, so that one of the packages used to develop Insight Maker, the situation has to be fixed. And one of them is that in the storytelling mode, if you use the run action step, what you put in this field, backspace and enter and delete, none of those keys, you can't copy and paste. And if you have something selected in the model and you happen to hit backspace, it will delete whatever's in the model. Fortunately, Control Z will allow you to get it back. We'll post an announcement as soon as this is fixed. And also the other bug is in show message. If you're in this box and you try to do an edit source, the field for you to edit in is not the whole box as it should be. That also happens in the notes window. If you do edit source, it's also smaller than the window. So those are currently the only 2 known bugs that are currently being worked. So if you have any questions about version 5, let us know. Scott will keep on it. Bye.